Yo, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is back on, and it's Thursday. It's the Thursday before the 4th of July, Independence Day, year 249 for the nation. But before we get to that point, there are still things to talk about in sports before we go into this weekend of sports. The NBA refuses to leave us alone. The champion has already been decided, but I know there's an offseason, but it's normally nondescript. Not this time around. They're kind of dripping and drabbing like a slow drip, making things happen, and the NFL finally creeping into the mix. We're in July, so it's only a couple of weeks before we figure that out. College football, etc., was good.
Not much, man. I'm just ready to get this long weekend started. I had a rough week of work. I said, screw it. I'm going to take Monday off too. People are not happy about it, but I don't give a damn. I'm off. I got a long 4-day weekend, so let's get it.
Hey, you know what? How it works. They don't give a damn when you're the one out there busting it up, and when you decide to take that one day, everybody's getting all butthurt about it. Whatever, man. If you got the opportunity and the time, go ahead and do it. They're paying. Why not? So, hey, it works every way. But, yo, that's the reason why we talk a little bit about sports, because it's a diversion from regular life. Let's go ahead and get into a little bit of the things that have been happening in the NBA so far. This off season, things have been happening. It starts off with, well, the defending champions. Well, they're going to be defending champions, but the current champions, OKC, signing their keystone player, their franchise player, to the max deal, $285 million for 4 years for SGA. Well-deserved. This is the part that says they may go into the next season a lot like this season, maybe even better with chemistry, and the odds-on favorites to probably win next year too.
Well, it remains to be seen how this contract affects the overall roster. I don't know if there'll be any casualties. For their sake, I hope not, because they can't afford to lose guys like Caruso, people who contributed immensely off the bench. But congratulations to SGA. He deserved it. He was the MVP. He could have been the MVP last year. He could have been back-to-back MVPs. He was Finals MVP. Not much more you can ask of the kid. I don't even know if he's a kid to me, because I know he didn't start his career in OKC, but still, he deserves it. Congratulations. And he seems like a guy where it's not going to affect his play on the court. Some guys get a bag and you're like, what happened to him, man? He can't play no more.
Every time you hear about him, it's talking about how he's put in work from when he was with the Clippers. Things kind of didn't work out there. I guess they couldn't find a place for him. Now he's where he's probably going to end his career if things go according to the script. He's one of those players that even if you keep him around when he's not too effective anymore, Udonis Haslem, like down in Miami, he may be there for about 20 years, even when he's just collecting a check just for being there. But anyway, he got what he deserved, and it looks like the team may come together, because we did talk about this during the season of how having a contract like this early for him, but the other players aren't due for contracts, not just yet, especially the key guys. At least that's how it seems on the surface. Unless there's some trades being made, I don't think there are any free agents that are looking to leave right now because of contract issues, like it was with Denver when we kind of thought the same thing. But as soon as the championship was won, people kind of went their own ways, and it took away from the depth, and we see they haven't been back since.
That's true, but with the new CBA, all the talk of the second apron and all of that, OKC is not a large market. So,
and that's true.
We'll see how they can maintain this roster. If they go over that apron, are they willing to pay the luxury tax? I'm not sure OKC brought in revenue like the Warriors did. When they were paying the luxury tax year after year after year. So it still remains to be seen what OKC can do.
But for the immediate future, I don't think that's the problem. I think looking forward, looking down maybe 2 years from now, that may be the problem when it comes to salaries and if they have to pay the luxury tax. Right now, I think they still have the key players in place, including the depth to go on to next season being the odds-on favorite as long as these salaries stay in place. The way things are going right now, I don't think anything is being said much about what's going on in OKC outside of SGA getting his huge-ass contract that he deserves. I think a lot of these players are coming back again next year. Rick and Havoc still got the same desire. If nothing else, they want to be one of those few teams that repeats. If nothing else, is that's the incentive they have. But I think right now, everything looks well for them. And don't they have like a whole bunch of draft picks too? They have everything, because even 2 seasons ago, I was talking about how many draft picks they have, but it's not like they really need those draft picks. And in the NBA, unlike the NFL, the draft picks aren't as effective as they are in the NFL, so they can package those, get one player or whatever. Salary-wise, it seems like they're cruising at this moment. At least I think next season will be probably the last season where all is well with the salaries with players are getting before everybody starts making their move because they might have done better or they just get better opportunities somewhere else. But right now, it doesn't look like the team is going to blow up from what it was last season, because it looks like the core of that team may be back for 2025-26.
It looks that way. But you talk about draft picks. Whose draft picks do they have?
No, I don't know. I just knew back 2 years ago, I think they had like 4 or 5 first rounders or something like that, or 3 or 4 first rounders. I just knew they had a lot of draft picks, because when Scott and I were talking about it, I was like, yeah, I didn't know it until he mentioned it. And I was like, yeah, they do have some draft picks. But now,
it may not matter if they're 15 and below.
Exactly.
It's 12 and below even.
It's not even like what Orlando just did, where they're banking on we're going to be so good in the future we can have unprotected picks, which they did with the Memphis Grizzlies, and know that, if you slip up, potentially those picks can all be freaking lottery picks, unprotected. But anyways, OKC on top of the world right now, and these free agent moves are being made. Well, we know that one of these moves was a splash move as well, just a move, not necessarily a free agent move, but Damian Lillard being waived by the Bucks.
I thought that was bogus, man. Let the
man rehab. It was bogus, man, but that's
just the rehab business. Before you cut him. Who's going to want to sign him to pay him to rehab? That's a bad deal for Dame, man. I feel bad for him. He was stuck in Portland all those years, and people were thinking, is he ever going to get a chip in Portland? Then he finally goes back on his own way of thinking. All right, I want to trade. Doesn't work out. He tears his Achilles, and then he gets cut. Come on, man. Milwaukee, you're better than that.
If you ever talked about the business of basketball or the business of sports, we saw it right there, because that is a business move. And, they got rid of Connaughton as well, but only because of salary. There was salary dumping, not a whole lot of money, but it was still a salary nonetheless. And I'm thinking now, with the money the Bucks is spending, they don't have a lot of capital. And I've read also they don't have a lot of capital in terms of giving players up to get other players. So the move with Miles Turner now coming from Indiana, going over to Milwaukee, was that enough to make Giannis stay there? Is that enough?
He's been saying he wants to stay, but why would anybody want to trade for Miles Turner based off his performance in the finals a couple weeks ago?
I'm about to say the same thing.
He was scared to shoot, and then when he did shoot, he missed. He played fairly decent on defense, but they needed him to play much better to have a chance. And when Halliburton went down, we talked about this.
No one stood up
the day after the game. Nobody helped T.J. McConnell. Of all the guys who performed, raised their game level, it was T.J. McConnell. Siakam didn't step up. Turner didn't step up. Nembhard didn't step up. Nobody stepped up except McConnell. So I don't see how Milwaukee thinks Miles Turner is going to help them in any way. And Wendy going crazy, saying it's a bad move. The Bucks and the Pacers are rivals. Man, if I'm the Pacers GM, I'd send his ass away to whoever takes him. I don't care if it's my neighbor. I don't care if it's a dude across the street, across the country. Get your ass out of here.
University of Indiana. Send him somewhere. But that's another thing I'm looking at now, because, going into the season, last season, nobody looked at Indiana to be as effective as they ended up being. Even when they got to the playoff, with the exception of you, I didn't think anybody really thought Indiana was going to really do a whole lot of anything in the playoffs. I thought that was a great matchup for the Knicks, and the Knicks end up watching them in the championship game. But now they lose a key player for them on their team. So it's almost safe to say, and Halliburton may not play next season. And even if he does, it would only help the team if they were in some type of contention for him to come at the later part of the season. If he's not, he might as well leave him out the entire season. So with him not coming back likely, and now Turner gone, we can't really expect them to be anything like they were just past season.
Yeah, I don't expect them to be doing much. Maybe make a play in
lottery pick.
Maybe, but look at lottery. That may be the way to go for them. You get a lottery pick, you add to the roster. Halliburton comes back. It's like you add 2 really good players.
And now we see what do you think of Mike Brown hiring by the Knicks? This is one of the names that came up. There was 5 names that came up from the very beginning, but then the Knicks decided to be hard-headed or egotistical, going after coaches who are already under contract and got refused by everyone, at least by the organizations. It's not the coaches because it's not their decision. It's the organization's decision if they want to let that coach interview with another team, and they chose not to. So it wasn't like the coach said, no, I don't want the Knicks job. No, the organization said, no, we like our coach. Find someone else. But these were the names. He was among the names that were coming out. You know, you even had Jeff Van Gundy among the names that was out there. And as a repeat coach for the Knicks. Mike Brown, well, he's with the Knicks now. I really don't know what to think. I really don't. And the Knicks are making some moves, some subtle moves, nothing big, no splash moves. I don't think they really need splash moves right now. I think they have what they have.
Well, obviously they have what they have, but I do think they need to make a couple of additions. But if I'm a Knicks fan and they fired Tibbs, I would be so disappointed. I'm like, you went to the recycling bin to get Mike Brown after you fired Tibbs? Come on, man. We talked about it at the time when they started getting denied access to coaches. It's like they fired them without a plan.
That's exactly how it seemed. Or they thought the Eagles were that big
I think I would be willing to bet cash money that there was no intent when they fired Thibodeau to hire Mike Brown. I don't even think he was on the list.
Now, that was the list of like the media and other so-called pundits, a list that came out. Mike Brown was on every one of those lists. And typically at the bottom of those lists, because they ranked them from like, if it was a 5-man list.
How long was the list? 12, 15?
It was 5. It was about 5 or 6. The list I've seen about 5. I don't think he's in top 5.
Like I don't buy that.
Jeff Van Gundy was on that list. Jeff Van Gundy, but he was.
Who's making the list? Who's making the list? Skip Bayless? Who's making the list?
Stephen A.
I'm talking about the Knicks, their list, not any pundits and not no talking heads on TV.
Yeah, people who were inside the organization. I don't know what their list looked like. I'm sure they didn't show their hand when they decided to make this pick. Come on, it's like this is like your 4th option or 6th option. Well, going by the amount of coaches they've already asked to interview, this is probably your 8th option. How bad does that look for Mike Brown? But he's just glad to get an NBA job. And I was saying the reason why, how much do they really need to add in terms of splash players? It was all about Tibbs and how he coached his team. There were players he just simply didn't use. What happens if Mike Brown does use those players, does get consistent with using his bench and the depth they have, and see how it works for the entire season so guys aren't worn out towards the end of the season, like it looked a little bit towards the end of this season?
I don't know. This may sound a little out of pocket, but I think they need somebody better than Cat. Cat, he has some monster games, but he doesn't show up every game. He's too inconsistent.
And his defense, they shouted out his defense and lack of it in the in the semifinals. They talked about his lack of defense and how he didn't. They talked about the offense that he did. Of course, we talk about that 4th quarter, 20 points at for the 24-point game when they really needed it. But defensively, which he was really brought in from, and anything offensive would have been a bonus, he didn't do anything defensively. And that's pretty much what you wanted him for. And the Knicks could have used some damn defense then. And Tibbs is known for coaching that defense.
I just think when you look at that roster and you think on paper, Brunson and Cat, that's a pretty good 1-2. And Brunson's bringing it every day. Every game. But Cat, sometimes he just has those walk through motion games where he might end up with 15 and 9, but it's so quiet. It didn't impact the game at all. And then the next game, he's got 30 and 19, and he dominated. Well, why can't he put in that same effort every game, especially in the playoffs?
I'm not going to say laziness, but damn, come on. Explain that he has the talent. We know that. He doesn't have the consistency. Maybe he does not have
that's what I'm saying. Like when he's on, you see it. He's like, he's in his bag today. And then other games, you're like, why isn't he in his bag? You just don't see it.
He lost his bag.
It's weird.
Trick or treat already left. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. Regardless, I mean, yeah, the Knicks, I still don't think about a splash play. I don't know how Mike Brown is going to coach them. I'm not even going to act like I watched him coach enough to know exactly what he's bringing to the table. You know, Tibbs, we knew defensively that he was going to make these players play defense. We've seen the other stops he's had and the reasons why he left. Young players don't want to be told how to play defense, all that crap. This is a nice veteran team, a nice mix of veterans and even some young players and intermediate players. And they were willing to accept it, but he just didn't use the roster to right, going by the people who watch Knicks basketball all the time. But now, you know, you get a coach in here, you have this lineup here. Who's available anyway for a splash if you're going to make one?
I think KD would have been the guy, but obviously he's in Houston now. I think he would have fit in nicely. Then you don't have to worry about Cat. At the end of the game, you got Brunson and KD, both good-ass closers. And then Cat can stand out by the three-point line and be the best shooting big man of all time if he wants to. But you're not really relying on him to take you home. But I don't know who's out there. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Giannis, I don't see who's out there that's going to.
Giannis is now saying he doesn't want to be traded. But just like we said about what's his name from Houston, it's not your choice. It's not up to you, bro.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, bro, I'm not leaving until you're leaving." Ownership says you're out of the door, and he's out the door. I've been hearing some rumors. I don't know if there's anything to them because around this time you start hearing the rumors, and sometimes they're legit, sometimes they're not. A reunion between AD and LeBron James with the Lakers now. You know, he gets his contract. You know, of course, he has his
AD going to the Lakers.
AD going back to the Lakers. So I'm wondering, okay, so how is that going to work? You know, you're going to have to give up something in order to do that, or what? What's going on here? I don't know how it's supposed to transpire. I know you have to give up something, give something. So what are you going to do? Give Luka back and get him back?
I don't see the Mavericks doing that. They'd have to be the dumbest
team, especially after having the number one pick overall. Because
if the Lakers end up with Luka and AD, what are you doing in Dallas, man?
That's what I'm saying.
That makes no sense.
It's some type of collusion in the opposite direction.
You can trade AD for Austin Reeves and a couple draft picks? No.
For Austin Reeves, seriously? Remember, it still has to be salary.
Well, what do the Lakers have to give up?
The Lakers don't have anything.
That's what I'm saying. Who else besides Austin Reeves?
I should have read more into it.
Who has any value
maneuvering their way around it?
Who has any value besides Austin Reeves?
Yeah.
Hachimura? I mean, how much can you get for him?
Possibly for the Knicks. Hell no, I don't want him with the Knicks. LeBron James. I didn't want him the first time with the Knicks when he was making his decision.
So I don't care. But he says he wants to go out a winner, and the Lakers, as they're currently constructed, I don't think they're contenders.
Nah, I know, absolutely not. And the West has continued to be what the West has been. The East is now, I think, weaker now when you look at what happened with Indiana, and now you look at what happened in Milwaukee. The Knicks are now going to try to figure out a new coach. So I don't know about the East as a whole anyway. From top to bottom, I thought it was top heavy, but the West was from top to bottom better, obviously. And of course, the champ came from the West.
I could see LeBron wanting to do that though, because I'm pretty sure he's worried about his GOAT status and his GOAT argument. That's why he's now saying chips don't matter. But if he went to New York and want to chip with the Knicks, first one since the 70s.
Oh yeah,
that looks really nice on the resume.
You know what? If he's the missing piece for the Knicks, even with Brunson there, he comes in and they win, they're automatically going to give him more credit than even Brunson.
What? You might be onto something because LeBron couldn't play for Tibbs. Tibbs wants effort on both ends of the court. LeBron ain't going to be playing center field on the Tibbs team. So they got rid of Tibbs. Now it makes it possible that they can go out and get LeBron.
LeBron would help the Knicks. I don't care if he'd help the Knicks. He'll also hurt the Knicks with that freaking ego and that crap inside the locker room. That's what I'm talking about. His playing ability is still not questioned, even after 20-plus years in the NBA.
My question is, would he bring Bronny with him?
I know people are asking Bronny about all this now, like this is his press agent, but he's like, he has no comment. It's just a quagmire there anyway when it's this relationship those two have. being father and son on the same team. If you can't get the answers out of him, we might as well ask his son as if he knows much more, and if he would say something at that. But yeah, the Knicks taking LeBron, I don't think that would be a good move. He could help the team, and the crowd would back him because, they don't mind carpetbaggers because that's what he is. He just bounces around from team to team. But I don't know, man. And I just don't know. How would he and Brunson really work together? He and Brunson, and then if you keep Cat, what's the deal with that?
I don't know. I mean, LeBron got along decent with Kyrie till Kyrie wasn't happy and he has to leave.
Yeah.
Or has to get traded. But, I mean, they were contenders. They won a chip, even though they had help from the league.
There's always a caveat. But anyways, the NBA still on fire more than expected during this offseason. Another move that was made, Jaren Jackson signing his huge contract with the Memphis Grizzlies, but more importantly, he gets a turf toe like the next damn day. Or was this something before? I mean, come on now, that's too convenient. It might have been one of those hidden injuries that you hope got better along the way. He gets his big contract. The next day they find out he has a turf toe, and now he has to get surgery on that turf toe, and there's no real timeline on when he'll be back. Turf toe's not that bad, but this is basketball, so it's probably a bit magnified on that hardwood floor.
Yeah, turf toe in baseball, maybe not if you can run on it. You're running on grass. But in basketball, with all the cutting, stopping, speeding up, changing directions, accelerating, slowing down, I mean, you need your toe, man.
Absolutely. You need your toe to pivot, all that type of stuff. If it was LeBron, you flop, you need your toe that much, you need your heel. But either way, I'll tell you that a turf toe is a pain in the butt. The NFL knows about it, even on grass, but that's a little bit more rugged than playing basketball because those turf toe. I still remember JoJo Townsend from the Jets. Every time I mention his name, it's about that turf toe pretty much ended his career. But yeah, man, a turf toe and an NBA player after signing that contract, though, I think that's most important about it all. It makes it seem like if there was some, let me see if I could probably put some, I'm going to put the link inside the chat right now for anybody who might want to slide on in here. If you want to start the trolling, man, you won't get your crap read. It's that simple. All right, now, so I'll put it there in the chat.
I don't know if we want to talk baseball, man.
Baseball? Where's baseball?
You see the question?
Oh, what the hell is going on with
New York baseball? Man. Is that Mets or New York?
That's the Yankees. Well, Yankees. Mets too. The Mets was trash. What's going on? The Pirates are sweeping them. I mean, I don't mind the JV, man, but I don't want them getting beaten up that bad. Come on. You see a little brother get his butt kicked too much, you're going to kind of get upset too. I like watching the Mets lose. I like hearing about them losing, but damn, sometimes I don't want to see them lose that damn much. Anyway, but that's what's going on.
I really haven't seen too much baseball. I saw the Padres and Dodgers benches were clearing. That's pretty much the only thing that gets my attention these days right now. Or Ellie De La Cruz too.
What you in the dark? Hello? What are you doing?
Hello.
The hell? I'm about to hang up on this dude.
Is this thing on?
It's like LeBron James will help the Knicks because like every team he went to won a championship.
Every team went to win a championship. That's true, but when's the last time the Lakers won a championship when there wasn't a ball involved?
Exactly. Before he went to the Heat.
Y'all can have a three-headed monster with Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, and LeBron.
A three-headed monster. Well, down in Miami, it wasn't necessarily a three-headed monster. It was a 2.5-headed monster with Chris Bosh. And I think Chris Bosh is ahead of whatever the cat right now.
Chris Bosh, man. Bosh could play.
No, Chris Bosh was good, but he wasn't that. When you talk about a big three, he wasn't that player that was transcendent. At least when you was up there in Boston, you see there was transcendent players. Anytime you had like a big three or something like that, they were transcendent players. I don't think Chris Bosh, he was very good, but he wasn't that player that should have changed the complexion, that should have called it a big three. I kept calling it the big 2.5.
He was the second best free agent available that year.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. There's no doubt in that. But in terms of
better than Ray Allen.
Better than Ray Allen was when he was in Boston?
Boston? I think so.
Wow. Well, I don't know. Hold on.
Take it easy, Jermaine.
Jermaine's all right, bro. Yeah, and then of course, DeAndre Ayton, he signs out. Well, he gets a buyout from Portland, so now he's gone. And He clears waivers. And guess who doesn't pick him up?
Golden State.
Golden State Warriors. We've been talking about that. You've been talking about it particularly all this time.
For years,
how they need this center. He cleared waivers. I mean, they said no too.
Mike Dunleavy obviously doesn't know what he's doing.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, I don't know what the hell he's done up there in Portland because I haven't even kept an eye on what
it's
Portland
like they won playing small ball, so he thinks that's the way they're going to win again. Meanwhile, they go in the playoffs and get dominated in the paint.
Yeah, and they got a definitive.
Rudy Gobert was dominating them. Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? So definitively, they have a 7-footer. And he's a talented young 7-footer. Just a couple of years ago, people thought about his bright future until he ends up in Portland. I guess they blackballed him. But now they have an opportunity to get him, and it's like he's not even there. I mean, I've been crying about Bol for years, and they hadn't done that with him either. I know they supposedly know a whole lot more than we do. They definitely know a lot more than I do in terms of picking players and player selections. But I'm saying you keep up with them a lot more than I do. You know a little bit more depth about what they're doing in the NBA than I do. So, I mean, what's their deal? Is it just a Dunleavy deal or what?
Golden State?
Yeah. I mean,
what other conclusion can we come to? He trades for Chris Paul. They didn't need a guard. Instead of getting rid of Draymond, they get rid of Jordan Poole. And then they couldn't score points, and I don't know. It's chaos. You can see when Steph is not on the court, that team has no chance.
You know, and Ayton, he goes.
And when you get dominated by Rudy Gobert, on the offensive end, I can see if he dominates defensively. But he kills you on the offensive end, and you don't address that situation. I don't know what's going on up there, man. I don't.
Well, so now the Lakers have him. And then Golden State plays the Lakers. Now they're going to have even more issues in the center spot for the Golden State.
Yeah, that's just another team that will have a big man they won't be able to keep off the glass. They won't be able to
do anything with.
And that brings me to Draymond. Always saying he's the greatest defender, saying he's better than Rodman, this and that. Well, then why don't you rebound like Rodman? You know, defense isn't only just guarding your man. It's getting defensive rebound, keeping guys off the glass so they don't get second chance opportunities. I don't see Draymond doing that.
No. He does a lot of talking. He tries to be physical. He's still undersized, but you know, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. I think we talked about that before. He's getting into the Hall of Fame because he played with those championship teams. And hey, you know what? Him being out was a reason why they may have lost the series. So, yeah, he did matter to that team, but I think his bark and his bite are two different damn things. The bite is not as big as the bark. And, you know, as far as being, you know, he starts talking about naming legendary players because he deserves to be in that same argument like Dennis Rodman. He hasn't said anything about Charles Barkley, but he said I'm sure he thinks he's better than he is too. He thinks he's well now you know he's going to the Hall of Fame, so he is Hall of Fame material.
If he played for any other team, he wouldn't be Hall of Fame.
Yep, because I know if you put Charles Barkley or Dennis Rodman on other teams like they were, they still did a lot of the same. In fact, done even more in some of those cases. You put him on Golden State, send him to the Knicks or send him to somewhere else. Not even a bad team. Just send him somewhere else. That's just a contending team that has a chance to make the next step with him there and see how good he really is. But then the excuse would be he's now an older player. He's not the same player. He gets injured more now and all that other nonsense. So we'll never get the real answer based on him being in his prime and what he could really offer. You know what? He got what he got. He ended up in a charmed situation to where he's gotten himself championships, and he was a part of those championships.
Hey, I'll give him credit, man. He made the most of what he has.
Exactly.
He doesn't have much basketball talent other than he is very smart. He does put in effort, but as far as handles, shooting the ball, you know, he's limited.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's all he can say. Well, a hardcore Michigan State defensive player. I mean, hey, what are you going to do? I mean, not everybody can be Magic Johnson coming from Michigan State or even Mateen Cleaves for that matter. But anyways, well, yeah, the NBA still knocking on the door. They were knocking on it a little bit on Monday, you know, the week before. You hear things about it, but the hell, they kind of kicked the door down with some moves and some news, and it kind of transitions into this time of year when there's really nothing going on, but you have a lot to look forward to, like college football, like the NFL. And because of the NFL kind of making some moves, the Pittsburgh Steelers is one of those teams that's making a lot of those moves now. I mean, not only do they have Aaron Rodgers, is that a big move or bad move? I think it's a nothing move, to tell you the truth. But they now have Jalen Ramsey, and they still have, well, TJ Watt is not liking his contract, so there's a little bit of dissension there. But you know, they got some good things going on with them right now, and they got DK Metcalf at wide receiver now, so those Steelers might be able to move the ball a little bit now.
They still have Aaron Rodgers.
Still have Aaron Rodgers, exactly, because I've seen a lot of what last year playing with the Jets and how receivers were open and how he did have time, because there was quite a bit of time he was under duress. But I've seen enough times when he wasn't under duress and wasn't doing what I'm used to seeing Aaron Rodgers do. I don't know if I'm a bit delusional. I think I might have been so delusional, not thinking that he is this old. He shouldn't be doing that at this age. He should be in a booth like Tom Brady. But I think Tom Brady's the same one who spoiled us, thinking that you could be that old and still look a little bit like we remember at your best. Not him at all last season. He was awful.
I did see Jalen Ramsey got traded, but I'm not really in tune with the NFL right now. What I am in tune with is I saw Nebraska flip to Miami commit.
Nebraska flipped to Miami.
Nebraska flipped a Miami commit.
Oh, they flipped the Miami player.
Yeah.
Okay. I normally keep up with that. I always keep up with it. Who was it?
It was a 4-star wide receiver.
See, and I said it before, and I'll kind of say it again. I used to live for recruiting. I mean, I had my own combine here in Jacksonville. I had my own freaking combine. I had so many future NFL players showed up. Marcus Thomas was 16 years old when he came to my combine. But aside from that, I used to always be on top of this recruiting game. And now that the rules have changed so much, first of all, with not having the traditional first Wednesday of every February being just National Signing Day, now you have the early period, and you still have your national traditional signing day, but most of the players already signed by then. You know, and now you have the NIL and the transfer portal. Getting these players isn't as enthusiastic as it used to be. You get these 5-star players back in the day, you chomped at the bit looking for a 5-star. When you got him, you were so happy. Antoine Smith, even though he changed from Miami to Florida State, I almost freaking cried and pissed off, but he went. But now we got guys, regardless of who you get, if they don't get their shot the first part of the season,
don't transfer.
They're going. They're transferring. Hopefully with these contracts and changes now, you could put buyouts in there so they just can't move as much as they were moving now. But man, damn, I can't lie and say that the enthusiasm for recruiting as it has been in years past is what I'm feeling now. I like when we do get these players because Miami has gotten a 5-star player and a 4-star player, which we hadn't done in years. But the enthusiasm isn't there because as soon as they can't crack the lineup, even if they're a true freshman going against a senior, they're going to cry about it and want to leave the next year. And it happens in basketball as well.
So we got someone saying the Jets put the voodoo on Rodgers. What do you think about that? Did the Jets ruin Rodgers?
You know what? Being a lifelong Jets fan, I don't think so, but I think so. I mean, seriously, it's almost like everything we touch turns into crap. Every time. I know when I was younger watching the Jets play, and we would get when the football season came around, the newspaper would put up the players and the positions in the depth chart, and they'll show you little cartoon character players, kind of let you know who's who. And you're like, yeah, the Jets are going to finally do it. And that's back in like 86. Bro, we're in 2025. Come on, man. We're in 2025.
So you're saying Rodgers is going to be rejuvenated. He's going to find the fountain of youth and perform at a higher level for the Steelers?
If he does it with the Steelers, you know what? I will confirm that it is a complete Jet thing. It has to be. If this guy plays anything like we're used to seeing him, or if they're talking about this may be the comeback player of the year, or this may be the MVP possibility at this age, it's all the Jets. It's all the Jets, man. And I'll hate it, but I'll still follow him, but I'll still hate that that's happening.
So that means Justin Fields will lead the league in interceptions and fumbles lost.
Oh, damn. That's the other part of it, man, because he was the Bears' problem now. I hope he's our solution. And going by what the Jets have done in the past with almost any player of consequence, it's always been an issue. There's never really been somebody. Vinny Testaverde coming home and doing well for the Jets as he did for that small window of time. I'm forever grateful because he's still my favorite player of all time. But I'm not expecting a whole lot. I'm not expecting a whole lot from Aaron Rodgers. Now for Fields, hey, you know what? I share a lot of the same sentiment I shared when he was with Chicago. I was like, man, you were so down on him. I was like, damn, is he really that damn bad? I don't see him all the time. You know, you say sometimes he's good, sometimes he's not, but then you just kind of say, you know what? There's just too many times that he's not. I'm kind of done. Let's move on. And they did. So I'm hoping that there's something left there.
He'll look good if the defense can get a pick six, if you can get a punt return for a touchdown, and you have the lead late in the fourth quarter. But if you need him to breathe, if you're down 17-13 with 4 minutes to go, you're toast, bro. It's over.
But look, you know, and a lot of what he had done in Pittsburgh before Russell Wilson got his shot, he was winning games, but the numbers still weren't there.
They were winning 13-10.
That's what I'm saying. The 16, numbers just weren't there. 16, pedestrian 13. Numbers, and even the running numbers weren't what you would expect from him. I mean, I would like to see more passing numbers than running numbers, but if you're going to set up that pass or that big play with that run without being an exclusive running quarterback, which is pretty much a running back that throws halfback option in your way to championships or a win, nah, that can't happen. You know, I don't know, man. Man, what goes through a quarterback's head when he's looking at the field and whether you have the talent or whether you don't? You know, I asked David Garrard, who was the starter for the Jaguars. He was a backup to Byron Leftwich, became the starter for the Jaguars. He came into the studio one time, and I was like, yo, man, can you just tell me what is it you're seeing when you come to the line of scrimmage? What is the difference between what you're seeing and making it happen and what someone else that's probably considered an elite quarterback in the NFL? Hell, he was realistic enough to know that he wasn't an elite quarterback. What did they see? What do you see? You know, and all that. And he was just explaining, yeah, I see the lineman, I do these checks, this, and that, only that. And then when the play starts, some things may change, some things don't. And I just go with the hot, you know, if it's a blitz, I'll go with the hot read. I'm like, damn. So, and I remember Tom Coughlin, he was the one who drafted him. He said this was one of the smartest quarterbacks he's ever had. He knew the entire playbook. So I was like, okay, you know the entire playbook. You go to the film room so you can execute, you help execute. You go to the game and you act like this is your first time out there. And then you get the repetitions people think you need to get in order to get familiar with what's going on. And it's just not playing out that well. And I'm like, God, I see, you know, he's a 4th-round draft pick. It's not like 4th-round draft picks haven't done something in the NFL before. But damn, man, it just didn't work out for him. And I'm wondering if it's the same thing with Justin Fields, who I believe overall has more talent than what David Garrard had. And to look at the field, what are you seeing? You're seeing the other team and saying, you know what, I got a strong enough arm to get it past him. And it doesn't happen. He's picking it off and going the other way.
So, yes, well, I don't know. I just know Justin Fields, he doesn't seem to have that clutch gene, man. Every time in the fourth quarter, he's moving the team downfield for the potential game-winning field goal or drive, and he throws a pick or he fumbles while he's running. I just saw it too many times, and I don't see how that's going to change.
Yeah, that's all in Jets lore, too. And that's what it comes down to. Jets lore. We're filled with those types of instances, no matter if it was the butt fumble, whether it was just Ken O'Brien turning his back against Louis Oliver at the goal line against the Miami Dolphins back in the 80s. Whatever it is, the Jets always end up on the backside of it. I know there are other teams in the NFL that their fans may think that they're snake bitten as well, but I don't think anyone is as snake bitten as the Jets, because almost all eyes are on the Jets because the number one media market in the country, and you know they get their opportunities on national.
Who's bigger in New York, the Jets or the Giants?
Oh, the Giants. As a Jets fan, I even know that. I mean, I just know the Giants are the team. The Jets are like the JV, and I tell you, Jets fans who are true to themselves can accept that fact. You just hoping to get a championship, and even when the Giants go to a Super Bowl, I root for the Giants. I don't mind the Giants. They're the big brother. They're the ones who played at Yankee Stadium before they ended up going to the Meadowlands, you know, and all that other stuff. The Jets came around. The Jets are a lot like the Mets. In fact, a lot of Mets fans are Jets fans because the Jets used to play at Shea Stadium, where the Mets used to play. But at
least the Mets, they go to the playoffs once in a while.
Well, the Jets go to the playoffs. They haven't been recently, but there was a string of time when Rex Ryan was there. They were going to the playoffs. It's just that at least the Mets got their last championship in '86.
But then
we're still talking about '69.
Yeah, but before that.
Before what?
Before Rex Ryan.
Herm Edwards?
You going jogging after this?
Oh. Well, yeah, we are back in the trying to get ready for this half marathon in October deal.
Jersey, right?
I just haven't run yet. Got got the Caitlin Clark joint. Don't forget about it.
You might be a jinx, man. She can't shoot anymore.
But I don't know what happened. I know I ain't jinxing. I know I'm not the only one with a Caitlin Clark jersey. Almost everybody in that arena has a Caitlin Clark jersey in around the WNBA. I don't know. You know, she got the groin injury now. She had the what was it? The thigh injury before, the quad injury. So I don't know, man. But shoot, and she needs those legs.
You know what? I saw a theory about all the Achilles injuries. A lot of players wear low top shoes nowadays. I don't know if that means anything, but I could never see myself hooping in low top shoes.
That's crazy. I thought they wore quarter tops. I thought they were wearing quarter tops, 3/4 top shoes.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I twisted my ankles way too many times to even think about wearing low tops.
I was dumb enough to wear low tops playing football, man. Semi-pro football, had low tops. Then I got some 3/4 tops. But anyway, yeah. And the time I broke my ankle, the one that put me out forever, I think that was I think those were low tops. Damn. But I remember that crack that I heard when I got caught that turf though. Damn, that thing popped.
I think most people play football in low tops. At least
that was
back
on
then.
AstroTurf too.
Old school, but at least back then.
Yep, that was October of 1999, man. Jermaine was just here a little while ago. He could tell you all about it, man, about how screwed up I was with those damn clutches.
Like playing baseball in spikes. Like, I never wore high tops.
We had a dude when I played that little.
The first one I remember high tops was Bill Buckner because he had the bad ankles.
Yeah, I heard about it. So
he didn't want to wear high tops on the baseball diamond, man.
Not no spikes. We had a guy when I played Pop Warner football. When I was like, 12 or 13 years old, we had a guy named Steve Manfredi. He had spikes on, and that fool stepped on my finger, and it hurt like nobody's business. That thing, blood just went everywhere. He like broke the fingernail, and it was just hurt. Oh my God, that pain. I could have gotten hit anywhere else or hurt anywhere else, and it wouldn't have hurt that bad like that. That pain and that finger was like, God, suicidal. Yeah, but I saw something a couple of weeks ago about how they were showing the old school Converse with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And they're like, yo, no Achilles injuries. And they're showing today's high skill, big time shoes, this and that. Right. All these Achilles injuries. Bro, there's something to it.
Could be.
Those dudes didn't have any support. I'm sure nothing.
I'm sure there's more goes into it. Load management. They're not playing hard all the time. And then when they try to go hard, their body's not used to it. Plus, I think you throw it all in the mix and that you get Achilles injuries.
And these are young players too. I was talking about before how, a lot of the older players, typically 35 and older, you have less blood flowing through the Achilles. And that's the story I read when Vinny Testaverde had happened to him. And I'm like, damn, I didn't know that. Well, now you do, and so you see a lot of the older players are more susceptible to that. You look at even when Kobe in basketball had the Achilles injury, he was an older player by then. I don't know if he was 35 when that happened, but he was in that area of, he was in his 30s when it happened. So it makes more sense now to know that, when you're older, you have less blood flow. So it's likely to happen to younger players. Yeah, it may happen to them, but they bounce back faster, like Tyrese Halliburton may do after this Achilles injury, but yeah, it's been happening a lot more. I wonder, we can't say because of social media, it's happening a lot more. We're getting a chance to hear about it because whether we had social media or not, we knew what happened in the NBA, NFL, with Major League Baseball and major sports because it became a storyline just because of that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not something that was hidden. It was just something that happened and you knew about it. But now people, I guess, can get more in depth about it because with everything at your fingertips, like it should have been back then, but encyclopedias or magazines, you can just look it up and see what the deal is with somebody's Achilles injury and even tell someone what grade other injury they may have, a grade, whatever, ankle sprain or whatever. But yeah, well, the NFL coming along, man. The storyline keeps trying to show up of Shedeur might be the first one cut. Shedeur is not getting cut. I doubt Shedeur. I'll be surprised as hell. They're claiming how Deshaun Watson is like being a mentor to him. I don't think that's a good idea. But, the dude, he didn't drop because of his lack of talent. He dropped because of the obviously the off the field nonsense, like the speeding twice, that kind of a thing, the ego, all of that stuff is the reason why you drop. It wasn't a talent deal. I still thought, even at his worst, he was a second rounder. That's still a quality freaking player. Drew Brees was a second rounder. Joe Montana wasn't a freaking first round. I think he was a second rounder too.
Yeah, I think Shador's gonna at some point be the starting quarterback in Cleveland.
With all of those guys
this year. But the only way I see it not happening is if the Browns get off to a really good start, say they're 6-2, and then there's no reason to make a quarterback change. But if whoever wins the spot, if it's Flacco or whoever, and the Browns are 3-5, 3-6, it's time to push Shador in my opinion.
I'm thinking that Flacco is the easy pick. He's the easy one because you can always fall on that. He's a veteran, and especially if you're expecting to have a crap season anyway. I mean, really, what do the Browns really have to offer in terms of what from last year to give you any idea that things may be different this year? You still have Joe Flacco there. You got a whole bunch of damn young players that are back there. You still have Deshaun Watson, which you're still trying to figure out what to do with him because you can't trade this guy because of the type of money he brings with him. The guaranteed contract they gave him made you thought they were friends with the judge. And in reality, you just took a damn gamble and you got burned. And Dylan Gabriel, he's like the forgotten player. You're hearing not even a lot. You're hearing stories about him when you hear him, but they aren't bad stories. He's getting the offense. He's looking good, or he's looking solid. I'd rather look solid than someone tell you you're looking good. There's a far cry from being solid to being bad than it is for being good to being bad. So we're all going to see during the preseason. I think a lot of Joe Flacco don't need to play. And the way things have been, he doesn't need to play in the preseason. Let these young guys get what they can get out of it. Joe Flacco don't need to play a preseason game anymore in his career, regardless of how much longer it lasts. Give these young dudes a shot. Deshaun Watson either. You don't really need him out there, just in case somebody is stupid enough to want to trade for him and get that salary off the books. But let the young dudes just get at it first and see how that goes. I think you're going to see a lot. First half this guy, first half that guy, first team with this player, first team with this player, then second team with that player.
Somebody has to get cut, though. You can't have 4 quarterbacks.
No, isn't it 4 or 5? That's 4. It's 4. Either way,
that's a lot. 4. You definitely can't have 5.
You can't have 5. You can cut this dude right now just to, I don't know, using as an example. You don't do your job, this is what happens. Cut that dude and show the rest of them. Yeah, but, so that's still that Cleveland saga. I don't see any real Dak Prescott. Was it you the one who showed me that picture the other day where he looks in the mirror
with a trash can?
A garbage can.
Yeah.
Bro. Yeah, man. I was thinking about that the other day, man. It started laughing for no reason. Yeah, damn, man. Dak's getting the worst of it. But damn, does he really deserve it, man? It comes with the territory of being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback as well. So, yeah.
And sometimes it don't even matter if it's factual or true. I mean, factual and true, same thing, whatever. If it's funny is funny. I don't care.
It's damn funny. That was funny. That's one of those things you see. You like, damn. My man staring in the mirror, saw a dead trash can, man. Damn, bro. You and Zach Wilson, twins at birth, separated at birth, whatever. But y'all both ended up in the NFL. And the Giants, whatever, man. Not that the Giants are a bad team, but they're so far behind. I don't know. We're just looking at the elite teams now. Is Kansas City still going to be elite? Because now we saw how much human Patrick Mahomes looked last season. I mean, he never got that big game that we was always expecting, like all season long. He never got that. It's almost like Trevor Lawrence when we expected him to have show that big game that shows you a franchise quarterback. Patrick Mahomes didn't show that he was Patrick Mahomes last season.
It's crazy though. Like Josh Allen still couldn't beat him. I mean, no,
it still couldn't beat him.
To the Eagles.
And his numbers are looking better, Josh Allen.
Huh?
If you go by the aesthetics, Josh Allen looks like he's the better quarterback.
Yeah.
The numbers wise, mobility wise, slinging the ball the way he does, and he still can't beat him. But yeah, going into this season in San Francisco, Purdy has his new contract. Now he's officially the franchise quarterback. Lamar Jackson, I don't know. I'm hearing people talking about that. You know what? Now they kind of got. This might be the time they finally win it. I thought last season was the time they finally win it. I don't know. Derrick Henry, when you're a running back, you can get old overnight. And I know Derrick Henry, he puts in the work in the offseason. Sometimes a little nagging injury doesn't matter how much work you put in. A nagging injury just happens and you hobble for the season. Then you got to do other things. You're missing your reliable kicker.
Unfortunately, I don't have faith in Lamar Jackson, and I doubt I ever will until he actually gets it done.
And you know what? And anyone who thinks like that has every right to think like that. He's been given every opportunity, more opportunity than a lot of other players who probably would thrive in that area, and he just hasn't. He looks good in the regular season. Those numbers last season were off the charts. I mean, those are video game numbers, and it just didn't work out in the postseason. And even with Derrick Henry running the ball and taking a lot of pressure off of him, man, I hate it because I want to see him succeed, for the right reasons. I want to see him succeed, man, because this is the guy I didn't think should have been a first rounder to begin with. And he's debunked everything I've said in terms of that because I saw how he left college football against Mississippi State, throwing all those picks. I was like, this is the way you go into the NFL, coming off of a game like that.
You know what's funny to me? When guys have won MVPs and they're having better seasons than their MVP season, people are like, look, he's playing better now. How can he not be the MVP? Well, because when somebody else has their team with one loss, or in SGA's case, OKC has the best record in the league, and Denver's kind of just moving along, showing up in 4th or 5th place, whatever. I mean, just because they're having a better season than when they won the MVP doesn't automatically make them the MVP.
Exactly. Different dynamic. Everything comes with its own set of issues, and it seems like Denver hasn't overcome their issues, and OKC, most any issues they've had, now being the current
because
champ.
if you say that, well, then the next time that guy's up for the MVP, I can go back and say, well, look at his numbers the first time he won MVP. They're not as good this year, so no, he's not the MVP, but he might actually be the MVP. That's just dumb.
The most valuable player in the NBA. That's kind of an oxymoron anyway, because the most valuable player in the NBA probably should come from the best team in the NBA. So that's what it should be. I mean, it just by his own definition, it seems like the best player in the NBA should be the best player in the best team.
When you got a guy balling like SGA, what he averaged, 28, 29, and he's on the best team in the league.
And he's on the best team.
Right.
So then the excuse is he's playing on the best team. That's why. But then when you have somebody like Trae Young doing what he was doing with Atlanta, they're not going anywhere, but every now and then they kind of do something almost like they're a threat before they're kicked out of the playoffs, putting up all those numbers. And then they're not the MVP. And then they're not a good team. And then you're back to talking about SGA and OKC or Jokic and Denver, or whoever's up next is going to be the best player on the team. But anyway, I guess that shuts the door for now before we go into this Independence Day extended weekend, especially for you. Now Monday, so that's you get the extra day off too as well. So there's that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for you. Damn, more than a half a week off. But anyway.
Yeah, have a safe 4th. Don't blow no fingers off.
Oh, you know what? Funny you brought that up. That was Jean-Pierre that blew his fingers off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Giants.
No, I didn't see that.
No, I'm saying that was years ago when he blew his fingers off with the Giants.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, when he blew his fingers off, homeboy from South Florida played with the Giants, throwing firecrackers, blew his fingers off.
Damn.
Fingers got blown off, man. That's why he played.
That wasn't no normal firecracker.
No, he had like an M80 or something. Those things were gone.
Saying.
Like 3 of them were gone.
As a kid, I held on to a firecracker too long, and when I threw it, it blew up like inches away from my hand. You talk about pain.
Yeah, I had a regular firecracker. Yeah, I had it in my finger.
I was never in danger of losing my fingers or anything, but it hurt like a mug. So I know there was no regular firecracker.
We had this kid named Jason around our block growing up, around our neighborhood. He was an excellent little basketball player. He's about, since he was like 9 or 10 years old. At 15 years old, I think he told us that he was looking for a candle in the house because the lights was out. He thought he was lighting candles at M80, blew all his fingers off. And we saw it after it happened, after he had the stitches and everything, but his fingers were gone, man. That was it. And we was always thinking this dude's gonna be nice in basketball one day. Game over with that, man.
That sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Anyway, have a safe one. I'll see you on Monday.
All right, till then, deuces.
Adios.